David, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good.
So you wanted to talk today about the 005s.
Yeah.
So why don't you give me a little bit about the shoe?
Yeah, the Norda 005 is a really exciting shoe. It's coming out in March. Luckily we were able to get our hands on a pair and put it through all the paces, all the terrain. And I would, spoiler, I would rate this shoe like a top 5 shoe of all time. And it's not, no pun intended to it being 005.
Yeah.
It's just an amazing shoe. It kind of hits on all the marks I really like in a shoe. Very lightweight, very stable, very durable. Again, like I put in over 100 miles on my pair so far and there's no sign of wear. Like the bottom of the shoe, still all intact and there's no scratches or anything like that. The foam is a little bit compressed, but still that's to be expected. Doesn't affect the responsiveness of the foam at all, which I like a lot. And the looks, it just looks like an amazing shoe. Like when I first got the pair, I almost didn't want to wear them because I didn't want to get them dirty. And they come in this nice white, I think the color type is called Neve. That's a Norda's kind of shoe name for it. And I just love it. I think through and through it's just kind of a great looking and a great running shoe.
Hell yeah. So what I love about Norda is they make a shoe and they just keep making that shoe. Yeah. So they have the 5th shoe they've made. Yeah. Can you take me through the lineup and like how this fits in their repertoire?
Yeah, so right now they have 3 shoes. It's the 001, 002, 003, and then now the 005. Okay. 001 was their first kind of premier shoe. It came out. It kind of is a shoe that does it all. You can tackle ultras in it. You could do like short course trail running in it. It's super durable. It uses like really premium materials. The shoe feels great, looks great, and every iteration of it is just different colors. So like it's the same model and they just push out different colors. So you don't always have to worry about being like what's in season and be in vogue essentially with the style. And then their 002 is kind of like that shoe, but a lower profile, lower to the ground shoe. It's a more minimal shoe. So if you want something that's a little short course and just like more responsive, that's the shoe for you. I wouldn't say the bulk of my miles, but definitely a lot of my miles in the 002. I just like enjoy the way it runs and the way they look. Again, they've kept that model and they just push out different colors every season. And it's a great strategy because like they're like, we make a great product, put a lot of thought behind these products, and we don't need to always like switch seasons and to like kind of keep in vogue with what's hot, what's not. And I really appreciate that about Norda. And then the 003 is kind of their like 001, but it's like an approach shoe. So it's a slip-on shoe. I've been using that pretty much every time I'm at the airport. You'll see me in the 003. Anytime I'm traveling around or I find myself maybe just running a few miles here and there, it's a great shoe for it. It's super, it's laceless, but the lockdown's kind of amazing. We have a friend, Adam, who's put in hundreds and hundreds of miles on the trails in Marin on that shoe, and like it's an incredible shoe. And then the 005, it fits in the whole super shoe race category, I would say. It's a plateless shoe. And I recently wrote a Substack article about how there's this rise of the plateless super shoe. Because in my opinion, like having a carbon plate in a trail shoe just kind of defeats the purpose of a carbon plate, but also it's like it adds for a very unstable kind of running experience. So I'm really stoked that there's like brands, especially like Norda, that are releasing shoes that are like, you can get the premium foam, you can get the premium materials, but you don't have the plate, so you don't have to negotiate the stability of the shoe. And that's kind of this experience I have with this shoe, and it's been, it's really corroborated that kind of feeling that I have.
Great. So what happened to the 004?
I guess, I don't know if Norda's ever talked about this, but they follow the Fibonacci sequence, which so it goes 001, 002, and then 2 plus 1 equals 3, 3 plus 2 equals 5, and then the next model is gonna be the 008, so it's because it's 5 plus 3 equals 8.
They definitely have never mentioned that.
They've never mentioned
Not
it.
that I've seen.
Leave it to a geek like me to know what it meant, and like really stoked that they kind of went that route.
I love it even more now. I'm a nerd as well, dude. Fibonacci, hell yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So cool, okay. So you were telling me some of your favorite excuses for wearing this shoe versus the others.
Yeah.
When do you pull this one out of your closet?
Lately, I've been pulling only the shoe out. I think it's kind of covered every base I love in a shoe. Again, if we were to use a traveling example, when you're traveling, you want to travel light. you don't want to pack like 5 pairs of shoes. You know, it would be nice to have options, but sorry, like unless you're checking in like a box or a bag, then you won't have those options. So this is just kind of my do-it-all shoe. Like if I find myself kind of relegated to the roads, I can trust it to do well on the roads. If I find myself on some ridge line, climbing a mountain or something like that, the shoe will do perfectly fine for it. You know, it has like 3.5mm lugs, which is like not the most bitey lugs, but unless you're finding yourself in snow or like really kind of technical terrain, it's fine. Like the shoe would do fine. And so that's kind of how I've been using this shoe. It's just like, I wouldn't say it replaced everything, but I'm so excited about it that I just keep grabbing for it over like every other shoe I have, not just Norda's. Like but you know, Norda, the 001s and 002s still have a really special place in my heart. So
Very cool.
yeah.
So our friend, mutual friend McKay, wanted us to ask, if you were to take this shoe on a date, where would you take it, or what would that date look like?
Oh my gosh. So they Norda themselves call this the Lamborghini of trail running shoes, and I believe them. I think it's a very fast, it's the lightest shoe I've ever worn, a trail running shoe. That's not like a millimeter off the ground, you know? There's like a big chunk of foam under your foot that like really kind of adds to that running experience. If I were to take the shoe on a date, that's a really good question. Like, I couldn't take it to the movies. I couldn't take it to Applebee's. It would have to, yeah, it would have to be like you roll up in a Lamborghini, get valet parking, and show up to like Spruce out here in SF, which is like a $4 sign on Yelp, like type of restaurant. And you can sit at the bar and have a great burger too, insider tip. But yeah, like that, a night on town, I would say. It's not that, or like, you get on the ferry and you go somewhere, and like it's a very experiential shoe, I would say. So like the date has to signify that experiential feeling.
Very cool. Okay, so why don't you walk me through the technical aspects from the bottom to the top. Hit me with the nerdy details.
Cool. Yeah. So it is Norda's first kind of non-4 to 5mm drop shoe. So this shoe is 28.5mm in the back, and then 21.5mm in the forefoot. So that's like 7mm drop, which is very different for them because if the higher the drop, the more propulsive the shoe is, and that's exactly how it feels. But the way they kind of negate that feeling that you're unstable is they widen the forefoot. So a lot of Norda shoe has what they call the pyramidal foot shape. This one less so. This one is kind of like, it's wide at the forefoot and then tapers off in the toe. And I really like that because if you're like going downhill on more technical terrain, you tend to land on the forefoot and maybe on your toes a little bit more. And it's perfect for that because as soon as you land, it feels like you can expand your foot and like really lock into the terrain. And then on top of that, it uses their BioDyneema kind of upper, but it's woven with nylon. So like they did that so it adds some more breathability to the upper. Because I've had experiences with the 001s where like I've gotten it wet at Western States 100 and it just wrecked my foot a little bit because like it just traps in the water. This one, I've gotten it wet through the mud and it's just like, it drains really easily and it's more breathable. So they weave the BioDyneema with nylon, so it adds like a little weight without compromising durability. And then the midsole is this material called Arnitel, which is let me get this right. It's a thermoplastic copolyester elastomer. And this is a fancy way of saying it's the way you cook the like rubber to make the foam. And the experience I feel with it is that like it never lacks that like responsiveness, like from miles 1 through 20, 1 through, I mean, I haven't taken it past 20 miles yet, but like 1 through whatever, it feels like the last step is as good as the first step, which is really rare for a shoe because like as soon as you get into a shoe and it gets like flattened, like the running experience just kind of changes. And then overall, the outsole for this is, again, like I mentioned earlier, is 3.5mm. It's the first shoe that's ever used Vibrams Mega Grip Elite, which is a very lightweight, very grippy material. And it seems really durable because again, I've taken the shoe past 100 miles so far and like it has no sign of wear on the bottom. And it's done well across like every terrain I've taken on, like rain, rocks, road. And so like it's been it's through all the experiences, it's like been really good.
Very cool. So you just mentioned you've taken these over 100 miles. They still look great. Can you tell me the price point Do you know the price point of these shoes?
Yeah. So with Norda, I think the price is relative. I think this one's gonna retail for $320, $325 US. And I think given the current state of shoes nowadays, that's like a pretty high price point, I would say. Like that's right up there with the road super shoes, like the Alpha Flies and stuff like that. But what I really, the way I like to think about this shoe is like if you're paying that price, you want it to last a while. And that's exactly what the shoes I feel like it's gonna be. Like I don't worry about like wasting miles on them because I just bring them with me and I just run in them, and then like so far so good. We'll keep seeing how they go, like 200, 300, 400, 500 miles. But based on kind of what I know of shoes, this one's gonna really go the distance.
Yeah, I feel like that's Norda's whole thing is, our shoes are more expensive, but they're meant to last 2x the time another shoe is gonna last. So technically it's not more expensive if you think about it that way.
You can buy a $130 any, name this brand or name whatever shoe, but then you have to buy it 3 times as much. So then you end up paying, maybe this shoe lasts maybe 4 times as much as like one of those shoes. So the prices either they work out about the same or actually is a better deal to get an Norda, I would say. And this is no different. I think this shoe, regardless of what you find yourself racing, whether it be like a VK or a 100 miler on the trail, I really think this shoe can kind of stand like anything you throw at it. And I'm really curious this year because I'm gonna be doing like a lot of different kind of races, and I'm gonna put it through all the different terrains and like experiences. Yeah.
So what kind of, I guess if you've only put 100 miles on it, you probably have only done training runs in it right now?
Yeah.
What are the races you're planning to test this boy out?
Yeah, so I'm gonna run one of the Gorge races. So the Gorge up in Oregon is gonna be a lot of like slicker rocks, very flowy kind of single track trails. And I'm also gonna I might run one of the big Alta races next month, and that's gonna be, kind of fire roady, very punchy climbs, stuff like in Marin. And then in July, I'm doing Cascade Crest 100, which is, in Washington, and that's gonna be a very burly course, and like that's gonna really test this shoe, I think, like because it's just like, again, it's 100 miles, but it's also like huge climbs and like huge mountains and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm really curious to see how this shoe does. And it's funny to think about like what I'm gonna wear for a July race, but I can already tell that I really wanna wear this shoe. And it's just like, it makes running a really fun experience. I keep saying experience, but that's like what the shoe feels like. It just feels like a really cool experience.
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, is there anything else you'd like to say about the shoe before we wrap up? Any other experience with it, or? Yeah,
I think, the shoe's really exciting. I think there's this and maybe like 1 or 2 other shoes that are really spearheading this whole plateless super shoe movement. And I like to see trail running shoes go that way. I think like for a while, I think we're over engineering technology a little bit, and like, multi-layer systems on a shoe, which is like, there's a time and place for it, but at the end of the day, just use really good materials, put them together, and just make them last. And that's all I'm asking for. And so it's simple. It's simple.
That's it. That's
it's
all
simple. And like, unfortunately, I couldn't pronounce the name of the foam they used earlier, but it's Arnitel, but like the material that's made of. But like a lot of times you just want to be able to pronounce the shoe, like the name of the materials and stuff like that. And it kind of goes into like the food we eat, where it's like if you can't pronounce it, it's like you don't want it.
What's in this thing?
Yeah, what's in this thing, exactly. So shoes, kind of the same thing, but so far so good, I can pronounce everything in the shoe. And I'm really excited for the year to kind of bring the shoe out in the trails and really like put some race miles in it.
Heck yeah. Yeah. What were the funny words we kept hearing at TRE? Was it supercritical?
Supercritical film was a big one, and
there was one other one I can't really remember.
Gosh, I can't remember either.
But that's not on here. This is not supercritical.
No, but supercritical film.
PBEX blend.
PBEX blend.
That was the other one.
But it's like it kind of falls all under the same like conversation. That is just like the way you cook the rubber to make this foam, and it's like depending on what small changes you make, it just like changes the terminology completely. But this is simple enough. It's uses the same kind of TPE, TPC type of like blend of foam that you can find in a lot of shoes, but then like the way you cook it and the compound changes the running experience that you have in the shoe completely. And like this shoe so far, I haven't experienced anything that feels like it, and I'm super excited to keep running in it because, you know, I run in a lot of kind of road super shoes, and the problem with those is like the foam is meant to be responsive, but after like 120 miles, it changes the running experience a little bit. So that shoe transitions to like a workout shoe more. And then you like pop out a fresh pair for like a race. That's what people tend to be doing these days. This one just feels like, I mean, I could see myself a mile 1,000 in these and it's like still kind of just cranking away.
Heck yeah.
And I think that's where like sustainability is such a huge topic now. And I really like that we're headed that way because I think it's important to kind of not be consumers that are just like kind of be seasonal consumers and try to figure out what's in and out. I'm guilty of that sometimes, but like, you know, it's nice to kind of have a shoe that's just like looks timeless, feels timeless, just works for you.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I'd be curious to get you back on when these have 1,000 miles on them.
Yeah.
And just see if your opinions changed, what they look like even. Yeah. That'd be really fun to do.
Might not take long.
Yeah.
Once training picks back up.
Yeah. And when are these set to release, do you know?
I want to say mid-March 2025.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure on the date, but for sure March.
And they're B2C, so you can order them on there. D2C, sorry.
I get them at San Francisco Running Company.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks so much. Anything else you'd like to say before we sign off?
No, this is fun. Tony, you're great. I love doing this with you. This is a lot of fun.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.